moment. Now we can start. We've gone through we went through the whole beginning of our show without pushing the live button.
Oh.
So, with that said, we're going to skip all the pleasantries, but we're coming at you live from Medellin Falls, Washington. Go to my Facebook page, Hannah Burko Violet, to see the beautiful pictures. And no snipping at each other tonight. We're just going to introduce Amy Bue, the co-founder and of Project Zoo Book, and also a member of the Olympic Project. We met her in Forks 2 weeks ago. She's an educator, a Bigfooter, an all-around wonderful person. Let's start this again. Now that we have proven ourselves absolutely inept.
Yeah, we did.
So, Locke, you might be right. You might be the greatest mother squatch up here.
Yes.
Anyway, Amy, first of all, tell us where you're from, and then what got you in the encounter that got you into this. And we'll start all over again.
No, it's okay. That makes me feel more comfortable because that's something I would do too. So
I forgot to go live.
Right. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, and that's where I'm sitting.
I used
here
to be
right
in
now.
love with someone from Youngstown, Ohio.
Really?
Yes. I don't think he's there anymore. I don't even remember his name. Actually, his auntie was trying to hook the two of us up back in our younger days.
Oh, that's funny. I wonder if I knew them. Well, if you remember it, you'll have to message me.
That's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
Well, I'm from Youngstown, and the reason I got into this is because I saw something standing along the city's water supply here in Mahoning County 12 years ago. And I was a passenger in a car, couldn't stop on the bridge that we were on. I didn't say anything to the driver at that time until we had already gone past this thing that I saw. But I still don't know what it was. I was about 100 yards at least, away from it in that car that was driving probably 45, 50 miles an hour. So although I probably think about what I saw every day, truly, probably every day, because I usually do something to do with Bigfoot every day of my life, whether it's reading a book or looking over reports or taking reports or being in the woods or writing a book. I don't know for sure what it was, but what it looked like is what I would think Bigfoot looked like if it was standing there holding onto a tree by Meander Reservoir here in Mahoning County. And I remember vividly, staring at this thing. And as the car went past it, like parallel to it, I yelled out, I think I just saw Bigfoot, because I knew of Bigfoot, from Unsolved Mysteries and In Search Of and Harry and the Hendersons, but it was not something on my radar or anything I was really interested in, and definitely not something that I thought people thought was real. It was part of our American heritage to have stories about Bigfoot, but just never would have crossed my mind to really look into it. So I know you both and I both find ourselves in this position of being interested in something we never would have thought we'd be interested in.
So tell us about your background, because you said this was not on your radar. When I tell people that I'm a crypto research, when I'm whatever we call ourselves.
Right. It's hard to know.
Apparently we're experts in something, but, like whatever. Yeah. And I say, well, let's see, I'm a clinical social worker, and then I was a choir teacher. It's like, what does that how does that qualify you for?
Right.
But what was your background? And what and you still, you have a day job like so many of us do. This is not paying your bills. So tell us about your education, your career background, what you're doing when you're not Bigfooting, and what did Bigfoot interrupt in your life?
Sure. Oh, that's such a good way to put it, because Bigfoot, for better or worse, has interrupted a lot in my life. I spend so much time on this subject, either just thinking about it, but even more so trying to do something about it. But I'm a teacher. I am a middle school, like 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade English and reading teacher. And I was a teacher at the time, still am. I also have a small business writing grants. I was a technical writer before I became a teacher and an editor. And so I still do some of that on the side. I didn't have a big background in anything to do with any type of research except for like machinery,
Yeah.
right, as a technical writer before this. But I'll tell you what, if you want to put it in the way of what Bigfoot interrupted, I'll put it this way. I have a bucket list, like an actual real written down bucket list where I tag things off of it because I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. And I decided that I want to like do the things I want to do, right? I'm doing really well, so that's all good. But I still like actively pursue that. So I used to have all kinds of other things on my bucket list, but I would say the majority have to do with Bigfoot in one way or another now. And a lot of my life, besides my family, and my job, is focused on Bigfoot, which is such a crazy thing to say, but it's true. And after I became interested in it, that's when I started getting educated about not only cryptozoology in general and Sasquatch in particular, whether it was reading books, watching documentaries, talking to people like yourselves, getting out there and learning. But I also became an Ohio certified volunteer naturalist through the Ohio State University because I spent so much time in the woods that I'm like, well, I want to know what isn't Bigfoot. You know, I want to know what makes these prints and what makes these sounds and that kind of thing. So I became that and still actively do that with different state park systems and local parks and even national parks sometimes. And then I also, and this is the craziest part, especially to my siblings, I think, but I started taking survival classes and bushcraft classes. And, you know, I never even knew how to pitch a tent by myself, you know, but now I can make fire and purify water and make shelter and all those fun things and my favorite part is the edible and medicinal plants, you know, learning about those. I think we have that in common, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
I'm like totally in love with all this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that all came about after Bigfoot.
Yeah. So
I-
I had actually, when I was in the military, we had, it wasn't bushcrafting, we called it survival school.
Mhm.
And we had to go through, I went through survival training. It was like a 6-week course that we had to go through. Of course, we started out as pretend prisoners of war that escaped, and then we had to survive in the woods and not get captured.
Right.
Not only were we had to survive, we were being hunted at the same time. So
oh my gosh, how Lord of the Flies.
yeah.
Yeah, for real. It's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I haven't
Yeah,
gone to that extent.
I was thinking we were watching something the other day. It was a clip of one of those survivor shows, which, you know, are totally scripted for the most part, those reality shows or anything. But this one looked a little more legit. I think, was it an island off of Australia or somewhere? Anyway, where this particular survivor show, it was men against women. And you know, they got dumped off on the island. You know, they each had a different island they were dumped off on, and the men are all spearing sharks and making fire, and it's like boys camp, what? And the women are just a hot freaking mess. They can't figure out how to make the fire. They don't know how to not walk in circles. And it was like, oh,
see, we need to educate ourselves.
Yes,
That's
we
funny.
do.
Yeah.
We do. So and then as you were talking about, like, you know, natural herbs and plants and stuff, it's like that is like my heart's dream, is to become like a hearth witch.
Yes.
You know.
Well, my great, I don't know how many greats back, grandmother was a wise woman down south during the Civil War. So she was the person in their town that would hand out different medicines and stuff that she would make. So I think I have a little bit of that in my blood. I've always liked botany and things like that. And the instructor that I went to and still go to for the survival school I go to, it's called Midwest Native Skills Institute that he does here in Ohio. And he learned everything that he learned from different Native American tribes. So it definitely has a focus toward what they know and do. So I really love it
That
too.
is awesome. That is awesome. Well, and you talked about being a certified naturalist. I immediately gotten on my phone and it's like, oh, how
How
do
do
I
we do
that?
that?
I don't know, like it's called the OCVN program here in Ohio.
Yeah.
And I think other states probably do that. I don't know for
I
sure.
might have time. I might have time in the next little chapter of
Yeah.
our life to do that. I just think I did pass a botany and like I passed botany badges back in the scouting program I was part of, but you know, I'm lucky to identify a dandelion at this point. I do know that dandelions are very healthy, and I actually learned about a plant yesterday. There are a couple herbalists that I follow on YouTube, and one of them comes from northern Maine, which we're in love with. And so she was
Nice.
talking about self heal, and and it's like, oh, and I'm on a self healing journey right now, and it's
Me
like, oh, I
too.
think that might help with some of my autoimmune flare ups. I got to find me some of that. So
I drink dandelion tea every day. I'm part of a COVID recovery program through the Cleveland Clinic, and they have a big focus on their functional medicine, like natural
love it.
medicine. And they have me drinking dandelion tea, some other herbs and things like that, and I feel a lot better.
No, totally down with that. Okay. All right, we'll let you get a word in edgewise, bub.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What was I supposed to say? I don't
I
have
don't
any
know.
words. So, no, what I wanted to ask now, what is well, first of all, what got you connected with the Olympic project?
A lot of luck.
Yeah.
I still pinch myself a bit because it's just, to me, one of the most exciting things going on in Bigfooting, and I know there's a lot of other exciting things. And when I met you guys and heard your talk, I was like so excited to meet you guys and to see what you're doing, because it's right up my alley. And I'm like, I know we don't even know each other that well, but I'm so proud of you guys for what you're doing. And I think that our goals are very similar. But the Olympic project itself, I used to be a member of the BFRO, and for several years here in Ohio, and I did a lot of reports in Pennsylvania. But at one point, I decided to leave that organization for different reasons, but mostly because I just kind of wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to, I had some different ideas about where I wanted to get reports, and just, no nefarious reasons. I kind of wanted to go on my own. And I quit I don't want to say quit, but I guess, quit that organization. Yeah. And then the next day, Derek Randalls and Shane Corson from the Olympic Project called me, and they were like, hey, we would love you to be a part of our group, if you're looking for a group or whatever. And I said, well, I'm not really, I'm just kind of gonna do my own thing. And I had met them before. I'm friends with one of the Olympic Project members, Barb, and when I was out to visit her, she took me up to the headquarters, and we camped up there and everything. And so I met all of them. So we knew that we got along and had a lot of the same goals and things like that. But I think it was 2018. It was either 17 or 18. I think 2018 that they had called me and said, you want to be a part of us? And there's a lot of crossover between the members of the Olympic Project and the members of Project Zoo Book, which I'm sure we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of us are in both. Not everybody. There's a lot of others that aren't in both. But we kind of just joined forces in a way, I guess. And so I'm a Midwest representative. Whenever anybody asks me a lot of questions about the OP, I usually defer to others that are over there full-time in Washington. But I get out there as much as I can and love what they're doing. And I remember the last time I was there, I was with Shane as he was changing batteries out of audio recorders and cameras and everything. And I was grinning, standing there in the woods. And he looks over at me and he's like, he said, you look really happy to be here. And I just remember saying, this is like better than Disney World. Because to me it's just so cool what they're doing. So I'm a Midwest representative, I guess, like I said.
There we go. All right, we're going to take a quick little break really quick and for a commercial message so we can get paid for this. Kind of.
Or maybe at some point.
So I got to find it. Where's the videos? I lost all the videos.
He always loses all the videos. Video clips are down here, darling.
I know. I'm looking for the right one.
Is there a right one?
Yep.
Hello, Bigfoot enthusiasts. Hannah here from Squatch America, and we want to welcome you to Cloudcroft, New Mexico, where mystery meets adventure. Introducing the Bigfoot Encounter Museum, the ultimate destination for all cryptozoology enthusiasts and adventure seekers. Step into a world shrouded in legend and intrigue, where the mysterious stories of Bigfoot come to life. Our museum is a treasure trove of artifacts, exhibits, and interactive displays that delve into the fascinating history and folklore surrounding this legendary creature. Get ready to embark on an immersive journey through time, exploring the captivating tales of eyewitness accounts, footprint casts, compelling documentaries, and so much more. You'll be amazed as you unravel the mysteries and evidence surrounding this elusive and enigmatic creature. Whether you're a skeptic or a true believer, the Bigfoot Encounter Museum in Cloudcroft, New Mexico promises an unforgettable adventure for all ages. Come and create lasting memories as you immerse yourself in the world of Bigfoot lore. Plan your visit today and uncover the secrets of Bigfoot at the Cloudcroft Bigfoot Encounter Museum. Your journey into the unknown awaits. Cloudcroft Bigfoot Encounter Museum. Discover the legend, experience the mystery.
All right, folks, there's probably a little known secret, but we're going to kind of whisper it.
Are you going to touch the bubble?
No, I'm not going to touch the bubble, but there's quite possibility we might be able to meet you there in Cloudcroft in September.
Meet who there? Whoever's there?
Whoever's there. Whoever wants to there. We may be running.
Headed that way.
Yeah, we may be headed that way, and we may be running an expedition out of there this fall sometime. So there's that. And did you want to...
And okay, so now he says wait a little bit, and I guess that meant wait till now. So all of you Squatch Americans that might be in the Cloudcroft, Alamogordo, even maybe into El Paso area if you're willing to travel a little bit. The Cloudcroft Bigfoot Encounter is looking for qualified and dedicated people to work, to run primarily their retail shop. Mm-hmm. So if you are in need of employment and you're willing to go to that area, get a hold of us. We can give you the details. But the people who own it are absolutely wonderful. We cannot speak highly enough of them. They really love to take care of the people that are partnering with them. So if you are looking for gainful employment and would like to offer yourself at their Bigfoot gift shop, hey, this could be a good fit for you.
And if you want to hear a million stories a day, because everybody goes in there telling their stories.
And this business has only been open since like last December, and they can't keep up with it. Mm-hmm. So, so there could be some real job security there for you if you're interested.
All righty. So back to Amy. So Amy, Project Zoo Book. How did that come about, and what is it?
It's my favorite thing.
Good enough.
Because that means we don't have to talk the rest of the hour.
There you go. The end. No, it came about. Long story short, I was helping with an expedition that people were talking about in a Facebook group back in 2018, and a young lady left a message on there that she was interested in this expedition to look for Bigfoot. And nobody had answered her, and I wasn't in charge of it or anything. So I asked the people in charge, like, can I answer her? It's been a few days. So lucky me, I struck up a conversation with her through Messenger, and she was asking questions about it and things. And it ended up that she couldn't go, but she was telling me that she and her friends were interested in Bigfoot. And she said they had a little lunch club, a Bigfoot lunch club, and they would read books and listen to podcasts and talk about Bigfoot at lunch. And I had no idea who she was or what she did for a living, but flash forward to a week or so later, and she said that she was part of the primate department at a zoo. And so when she said that, I was like, oh, because back then, especially, it's 6 years ago, I think things are starting to change a lot, but at least I wasn't used to having any type of scientists or academics that were interested, like for real, except, Dr. Meldrum and, different people that we all know. But personally, I wasn't. And so I was like, well, are you like, haha, Bigfoot is fun interested, or are you like seriously interested? And she said, no, we're seriously interested. She said she had gone down to that Expedition Bigfoot Museum down in Cherry Log, Georgia, with her dad, kind of on a lark, because they were down there and they're like, let's go to this museum. And she was really blown away by what she saw there and was really intrigued by some of the exhibits and some of the possible evidence that they had. And, she works with chimps and macaques and gorillas and all of these different animals. And she was like, this is like, sounds a lot like what, we deal with, it was part like different things would pop out of her. So she went back and she kind of casually asked the group, and this was like before they had their little lunch club, right? So she's like, so what do y'all think about Bigfoot? And the gorilla guy, the main gorilla guy, he was like, oh, I love Bigfoot. I've always been fascinated with it. And so they started talking, and then the other members of that department started talking, and that's when they started reading books and podcasts and all that kind of thing. So anyway, like I said, it ended up that she couldn't go on the expedition, or they couldn't. And I said, well, you don't have to go on an official expedition. Like, you can just look yourself, or I'll go with you. We can go camping, and camping with a purpose, and you would just treat it like if you were interested in looking for owls, you would learn about what owls were supposed to eat and where they were supposed to be and where the people had seen them, and you'd go and try to find evidence of them, right, and try to see one. So anyway, so I was like, well, we ended up living further away than I thought that we lived, because since she was interested in an expedition in Ohio, I thought she lived in Ohio, but that wasn't the case. So fast forward a little bit, we still talked a bit, and I said, listen, you guys are really interested in this. Do you want me to get some of my friends to talk to you about what they're involved in and what they do? So that's when I called Shane and Derek, and I was like, hey, could the Olympic Project talk to them? And it really started out on phone calls, like group phone calls. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple of my researcher friends that would tune in, and we would just all talk about different things to do with Bigfoot. So then when we all were, I'm sure Zoom had already been around, but we weren't like using it or anything. But when we started hearing about things like that, we're like, hey, why don't we do Zoom calls? And we started doing Zoom calls in 2018, and we still, every other Thursday, unless we take a small break, we do a Zoom call. And we call ourselves a think tank. At this point, it's really grown. At first it was just these friends, and we made up the name Project Zoo Book. We were just kind of being funny, because we're like, oh, we're kind of under the radar, because since we were getting more and more scientists involved that didn't necessarily want to put their funding on the line for other projects, or come out of the Bigfoot closet, I always say, yet out there, their interest out there, we weren't public or anything like that at that time. So somebody said, oh, we should be Project Zoo Book instead of Project Blue Book, like for the aliens and then Bigfoot. And then my sister made us a logo, and the rest is history. But at this point, we do consider ourselves to be kind of a think tank, for lack of a better word. But if everybody was there at the same time, we have lots of researchers, but we have over 40 different scientists who have been involved in Zoo Book and still come back. And we have wildlife biologists and anthropologists, marine biologists, one of our marine biologists has an interesting reason why she's interested in Bigfoot. Like all kinds of smart people like yourselves. And I'm basically the coordinator of it. And so I get a lot of guests and different topics that we will discuss. We have different projects that we're working on together, field researchers and scientists, and some scientists who have become field researchers, and vice versa, really. I would say that the majority of our scientists are what I call hopeful skeptics. And I even kind of put myself in that position. That's the category I put myself in, because even though most days I really think that Bigfoot exists, I do have occasional days where I'm like, what if they don't?
Yeah.
After you're tired from traveling and all that and doing all that we do, I'm like, but what if not? Like, I've never had that smoking gun experience before. So, I still don't know what I saw that day or what I saw another day, but talking to people who I trust and all of the witnesses I talk to, because we have another thing in common where we do outdoor shows and things like that. I really think that they do exist. So a lot of the scientists have never had an experience, but some of them have. Some of them have seen them. And so when you talk to somebody like that, it kind of changes the game a little bit.
All right. So you piqued my curiosity. Marine biologist. Why? It's a she? Okay.
It's a she.
Yeah.
It's a she.
Why is she interested in Bigfoot stuff? Or how can she put these two things together?
It's kind of a long story, but I'll shorten it.
Okay.
She is amazing, first of all, like one of the smartest people I know. And she's kind of become our de facto researcher for the group. So if we have a question, she always finds it like that. But she contacted me, and a lot of the reason that I do podcasts like I'm doing tonight is to find more scientists who are interested in this, because I wish that they would be out here talking about it. I wish they were the ones that could go to different conferences and speak about it. But again, for obvious reasons, at least I think obvious reasons, they need to be more discreet about what they do. So anyway,
which is exactly why we gave up our day jobs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's why I retired. I worked for two different universities, and I couldn't say a word the whole time.
So you get it, right?
Yeah,
you guys get it. And
even when he was working at our high school as a drama coach, he got made fun of by all the administration. I got made fun of, and not that we took it seriously, or the making fun of, but still, it does a lot for your professional credibility when you're off in the woods chasing this thing that doesn't exist, no matter what your profession is.
Exactly. And that's why I've been such a mama bear about Project Zoo Book, because I'm like, listen, you don't have to say anything or do anything to impress me. I just want your knowledge, and I just want us to have this conversation. But a good few of them have started to talk about, what they've seen and what they've experienced and their interest. And it's been kind of amazing to see, for a long time in Bigfoot circles or in the Bigfoot community, there were people out there saying that Project Zoo Book was Amy Bue's pretend little Bigfoot group. Like, I have that on screenshots that have been sent to me. And I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that, because that means I'm doing my job.
Crank on, friend.
So, and let me say too, that I know we're not the only scientific minded group out there. And I also know that, or hope we won't be the last. It's just the one that I'm involved in, So I have a lot of admiration for a lot of different people that look at it this way. And I usually say this when I give a talk. I also, even though my interest in my work is with a scientific angle. I'm also very respectful of people who have different ideas about what these are.
Mhm.
Was it you guys that we were talking about The Gods Must Be Crazy? I always refer to that movie with with the Coke bottle being thrown out of the airplane down to the indigenous people in the film. Do you remember that film, like from the 90s or something?
Yeah.
A tribe that had been, very remote, and a bush plane comes over and a Coke bottle's thrown out, and they kind of worship it, for lack of a better way to say it,
Mhm.
and they think it's paranormal. So I feel, I have a lot of researcher friends who look at things very differently than I do, but I'm like, more power to you, because maybe sometimes those paranormal things are just things we can't explain yet scientifically. Like we
Right.
don't have the words for it. So anyway, I just like to say that because I think we should all be doing our own path and what interests us. And if I get to the end of my path and that's not what it is, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't personally think that's going to happen, but I'm okay with it. So anyway, what were we talking about?
The journey is the destination.
Yeah.
It's the journey.
Very true.
And
And some about that God's might be crazy thing is one of the things when I was in college we learned about. I can't remember the specifics of it, but it was World War II. There was a cargo plane, and I think I can't remember where, it was South America somewhere. This cargo plane was flying, food and stuff for the military, and something went wrong. They had to do an emergency landing in this field, and there was this tribe that was in the area, and this plane landed. The tribe showed up, so to appease them, they dumped a bunch of food out for them, just for they were thinking it's for their own safety.
I was going to say, it's probably a good idea.
Yeah. And whatever they got the
give
plane.
them the spam so they don't eat us.
Yeah.
Right.
They got the plane fixed, and then they took off again. Well, years later, I think it was an anthropology group had got into that area, and these people had built these effigies of airplanes and put them in the field to try to beg them to come back and give them more food. And it's been years later. So
it just gave me chills, that story. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. That's a really good story.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, you want me to get back to the marine biologist?
Yes, I do.
I'm sitting here. I get off on all kinds of tangents, and I'm like, I'm a teacher, and my students try to do that to me on purpose, but it doesn't take much. But so anyway, I was on a podcast, and she heard it and contacted me, and she's like, hey, I know I don't work with great apes or anything like that, but I would love to be involved with this. She said she had a real interest in it because she had been told by like a fish and game commission in the state that she lived in that she had not seen a mountain lion, when she was very sure that she saw a mountain lion, but mountain lions aren't supposed to be in this state, right? And so she had a conversation back and forth with that fish and game guy, back and forth. She's like, it wasn't just me, other scientists saw it. And she said, I know it was a mountain lion. And he kept, arguing with her that they don't exist here. So anyway, there's more to the story than that. But long story short, she was like, it was so frustrating not to be believed. And so frustrating for somebody to think that you didn't have the intelligence to know that it was a mountain lion and not a golden retriever, which was suggested. And, she said, I started, paraphrasing her, but she said that she had started looking into other things that maybe people were saying they were seeing, but were not believed. And she happened upon some Bigfoot reports, and the rest is history. She has not seen one, as far as I know, but she's very open-minded to it. And I think that my favorite part of Project Zoo Book may not even be the focus on Bigfoot. It's probably the fact that, people like myself can ask questions of and be treated like colleagues to people who I respect so much for their background and for the work they've put into what they do, and have such open minds. I think that's so important, because I love science, and I understand that with science, you need to have the facts and everything like that. But I also think that good science goes where the facts lead you, rather than coming up with that conclusion and pushing that, And so our scientists in our group are very much willing to look into this. And I feel, whether you're talking about the nests out on the and out in Washington State that the Olympic Project is looking at, or all kinds of witness reports, not everybody is seeing a black bear, not everybody's lying or hoaxing.
Right.
So something's going on, and for them to say, yeah, this is interesting and this is important, makes me happy. And especially when it comes to our Native American tribes, it makes me mad when I think about, other large primates in Africa or in Asia, that the tribal members there were kind of poo-pooed about what they had seen. They're just simple people, and it's just their folklore or mythology or whatever, moral tales. There's a hairy man out there. Until we know that there were the hairy men out there, gorillas, Cross River gorillas, all of that.
Right. And just recently, what was it, 2002, the billy ape they found.
Right, the billy ape, and the new subspecies of orangutan, 2017, I think. So I feel very strongly, and I have started doing some different work with different tribes, First Nations groups, that I feel we should be listening to them. I think it's very possible
into this.
What's happening here. Right. I know. And I told you, even in my presentation at Forks, we had a little star next to cultural anthropologist, because we somebody.
We'll have to jump in on a Zoom with y'all.
Yeah, we'd love
to. Yes, tomorrow.
Yes. Well, hey, speaking of which, it's time.
It's time. Well, I want to answer one quick question that was in the chat. It was just, he said, why doesn't Bigfoot people aren't using trackers? Well, we do. Actually, Shelly Covington, Montana is a master tracker. A lot of people don't know that about her, but she has went through the school and training and all that. There's, what's his name? He works with Cliff Barrickman on Mountain Hood.
Daniel. Is it Daniel?
I think it's Daniel. He's a master tracker too. So
we have some out here that we're using, and I'm actually taking classes. But
awesome.
Cool. We do.
And so anyway, we need to update people on where we're going to be.
All right, so we're gonna.
It's that time again.
And where are we going, honey?
Where are we going
here?
The Medellin Falls Bigfoot Festival returns to Pend Oreille County June 15th and 16th. Discover the rich history, folklore, and mystery. From Sasquatch-themed crafts to Bigfoot merchandise, a 5K fun run, and plenty of food. This event is guaranteed to leave you amazed and entertained. Hear from the county's experts about their Bigfoot sightings, or sign up for the presenters dinner and talk with them firsthand. The Medellin Falls Bigfoot Festival. For tickets and information, go to mf-bigfoot.com.
All right, folks. So we are going to be there this weekend. We're actually here now.
And that's why we came a week early, because this is just the most zen,
it's a beautiful place.
I did yoga outside yesterday.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Awesome. I had a goose watching me going.
Yeah, she had a Canadian goose watching her do yoga. It was pretty awesome. So, and then next weekend.
Get ready for an unforgettable weekend of mystery and excitement. Join us at the Blue Mountain Bigfoot Fest on June 22nd and 23rd in picturesque Baker City, Oregon. It's a 2-day extravaganza celebrating the legendary creature that has captured our imagination. Discover the beauty of the Blue Mountains while embracing the mystery of Bigfoot. Don't miss out on expert speakers, thrilling expeditions, a chance to share your own Bigfoot encounters, live music, delicious local cuisine, and a variety of family-friendly activities. Blue Mountain Bigfoot Fest, where the legend comes to life. Mark your calendars for June 22nd and 23rd, 2024, and make memories that will last a lifetime. Visit SquatchAmerica.com for tickets and information. See you there.
Just a reminder, if you have not purchased your VIP dinner tickets for that, they are still on sale. This is like a once in a lifetime opportunity for this particular assembly of guests. And at this point, the festival itself is like twice as big as it was last year. So, and I will just say this, there's no guarantee that it will be next year.
Yeah.
That's the only hint I'm giving you.
Okay. So, and then we're jumping over the hill
to
over the Cascades to over by Roseburg. July 20th.
That is the only Justin Timberlake song I like right there.
And so we are going to be there with who?
Michael Freeman,
Thomas
Thomas Seawood, and Peggy Seaview.
And who else is going to be there?
Someone else.
Oh, Jesus Payan.
We're just like
from
doing
Breaking Bigfoot.
We're doing the Tom and Jesus and Squatch America tour.
Oh, we are. It seems like we're at all the festivals together this year for some weird reason. All right.
We're the flavor of the month.
Yeah, I guess. We're on number 8, and I think we got 14 total.
I don't know.
Year,
I don't. Just stop using numbers because it makes my brain hurt.
Yeah. So
and someone asked me, "What's your favorite part about festivals?" They said the end of the season.
Yeah.
I just like
and that nap
and that and the sleep that we get the week after it's all done. So
right, cool.
Anyway, okay. Hey, some Native Americans believe the world exists on the back of a giant turtle. Well, shall we talk about the Hindu mythology behind that?
Yeah. You do a whole show on all of that.
Well,
Yeah,
don't even let's start.
Yeah.
I just think, you know what would be fascinating?
Mm-hmm.
So many things. My thing with the science is I love the questions that we get to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the more outlandish the question. And so if we held up not just, you know, every indigenous culture, every ancient culture, and put their Bigfoot type narratives next to each other, what would we see?
Right.
What would we see?
There are stories like that in there.
There are.
You have the hairy man alongside the coyote being part of a creation tale, but the coyote is real. So why do we throw out the hairy man? You know,
right. In fact, the Nez Perce has a whole story about a interaction between coyote and Bigfoot.
But just, you know, kind of like they have, okay, for those of you religious folks out here, there, like they have the parallel Bibles where you can stack all the books of the, you know, stack different translations against each other, different tradition, you know. I would love to see all the different traditions of Bigfoot, whether they come from this continent or other continents, and stack them all next to each other and start looking for parallels, compare, contrast, and see what kind of questions we could get out of that.
That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's right up my alley. That is totally right up my alley.
I was looking at the chat during the break, and I just wanted to say thank you. Pyromedic was explaining more about the Gods Must Be Crazy and the plot line. I haven't seen that since like it came out, so I have to watch it. So thank you for that. You're right about that.
Yeah, and it speaks to the observer effect, and I wanted to kind of address that. And of course, the observer effect is where just by observing something, you're changing what you observe. You know, and that's a huge part of, you know, whenever you're involved in any kind of even basic qualitative research, you know, the way you ask a question can change how a respondent is going to answer. So you've got to be very, very careful.
Absolutely.
To not insert yourself in that. And Oh Lord, I'm having a menopause moment now. The train may have just derailed. um, but I know. So I had just posted, about a festival coming up on my Facebook, and one of my Facebook friends who does like to stir the pot a little bit, but she asked, I believe they exist. They're out there, no question. But to what extent are you going to disturb their peace to satisfy your own curiosity? And I haven't responded yet, but it's like,
I
there's
have
that.
an answer to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt you, though. You can say.
Oh,
I don't have an answer because my first answer, and I have to check myself, comes, well, what the hell makes you think that we're out there disturbing their peace? You obviously
Right.
don't know how we do our work.
Yeah.
But then there's the question, because there are those who would really disrupt the natural order to prove their existence.
Right.
And there are those of us who wouldn't. But what's your answer?
Well, my answer, and I think that's a legitimate question she asked, right? My answer is absolutely. One of the reasons that I would like to see a Bigfoot is a selfish reason, because I want to know if they're real. Like, I want to know that I know that I know. So I guess that's a selfish reason. But the biggest reason I do this, and whether you're talking about Project Zubik or the Olympic Project, is, again, we don't think in any way that we're going to be the ones to find Bigfoot or prove it to be real or anything like that. We would be privileged if we had something to do with when and if these creatures are proven, that we would have some kind of a body of information or evidence or whatever you would say to hand over to the people who have the power that can help protect them.
Yes.
That's it. That's why we do what we do. We're definitely no kill, and we just think that it's only a matter of time for that to happen, right? So we just would like to be a part of that not happening.
Right. Yeah, and we talked about that, in Forks, about banding together to make a formal statement on that very matter, and part of what I wanted my response to include to her was, our goal is not to disturb their peace. It has nothing to do, at least for me, it doesn't have to do anything with curiosity about them so much as it does the more I learn, not just about Bigfoot, but the more I learn about the natural order, the more I learn about the mystery that's out there, the more I learn about us.
Yes.
Where we fit into the bigger picture. And in a sense, when you really delve into the mystery that is the universe in which we live, it takes us off of our superiority high horse.
Yes.
And I find that, it's going to sound weird, I find that being humiliated in that way is going to benefit everyone.
I agree. There's all kinds of reasons to do it. Like, one of my favorite things is just simply to get kids out in the woods. I do a lot of things with children, with teenagers, do a lot of libraries, scouting things, and 4-H and all of that. And with the parks, one week we had an owl hike, and we had 10 people show up for that owl hike, which was fine. If one person comes, I'll go on the owl hike. But then we had a Bigfoot hike, and we had hundreds of people show up. And it just makes me happy if Bigfoot can be part of the reason a kid is out in the woods, paying attention to plants and looking around, and has some kind of the mystery of nature and can help with ecology and things like that. There's like there's a snowball you can start rolling, Bigfoot or no Bigfoot. I think there is Bigfoot, but there's a lot of good that can come from it that way as well.
Oh, absolutely. Just getting people out into nature. I was having a conversation with someone in my yoga community, and the biggest blessing of my life doing this is that I'm out in nature, and nature healed me from so many things, from from out of control anxiety, and and really recreated who I was. And so
Me too.
yeah.
Me too.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know what Hong Kong Fooey they're talking about. The chat. So people
I
in
love
our
Hong
audience.
Kong Fooey.
Hong Kong Fooey.
That was my favorite cartoon back in the day.
Yeah, they're talking about the turtle. And
Oh.
like I said, there's a lot. I've been working with native tribes for years now, and there is a lot of metaphor.
Sure.
And you gotta
Absolutely.
be able to figure the difference between the metaphorical stories and the actual concrete stuff. And they have both,
And that's a weakness of Western culture, because
So-
we don't think
so
in a metaphor.
if you think about it this way, when you're talking about the turtle back, what if that's just their word for gravity?
Right.
Exactly. So
because they're using a natural phenomenon to describe something
Right.
they don't understand.
yeah.
When we were out with some of the members of Project Zoo Book, including myself, were invited out to the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana. And so we were out there camping and talking to different members of the Blackfeet Nation about their experiences with the Inamitapi. And I hope I'm saying that okay, but it's their name for the hairy man. And so a lot of their stories have like spiritual connotations or metaphorical connotations to them. But then also we talked to a lady who owned a little store there, and she talked about one being in her dumpster a couple days before. And then there was the gentleman who showed us the exact ridge line that one was walking on last Tuesday, So they're not just, I don't want to say just like it's a bad thing, but they're not only part of their rich, oral traditions and history and stories, but they're in their dumpsters, so it is very real.
Absolutely. Well, just like we were, when we were interviewing that Quinault tribal member, to the Quinault, it's like, of course, there is much a part of the natural world as a bear or a mountain lion or a raccoon or a freaking woodpecker.
Yeah.
They're just another type of people.
Yeah.
And
brothers.
the guy we were interviewing was actually kind of an outfitter, but he's in the tribe kind of deal. So he would take people out and hunt. And when we were interviewing, he had an encounter. So he told us all about his encounter. And then we sat there for about 2 hours afterwards and just talking. And then he would, after he told us about his encounter, and then he would go, "Oh, well, my cousin, a couple years ago, this is what happened to him. Oh yeah. And my other cousin's sister, this is what you just kept naming off all these tribal members that had other experiences with these things,
Yeah.
Pyro says the ones that yelled at me weren't metaphors.
Yeah.
With you there. Yes, I did not vocalize back and forth with the metaphor.
Yeah. I didn't either.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and all those metaphorical footprints we find all the time.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's.
Oh well, this has sparked some really interesting stuff in the chat.
Yeah, I like your chat.
They are an entertaining lot for sure. Entertaining lots of mother squatchers.
Yes.
As Locke likes to call them. Anyway, do you have any last words for us? Anything you would like to leave our audience with before?
Yeah, we're down to 7 minutes.
Yeah, just if they are or love and know any scientists, of course have them contact Hannah and Scott here, but I'd love to talk to them and maybe have them on Project Zoo Book. Or if you have a really good story, we have witnesses that come on and tell the scientists, and they can ask them questions, and it's really a cool thing to be a part of. My Gmail is bigfootamy@gmail.com. Nice and simple. Another thing I'm working on is a book that I'm writing about a financial backer of Peter Byrne and Roger Patterson's after Tom Slick had died. This gentleman was from Ohio, and so before he passed away, I interviewed him a lot. And so that's another thing I'm going to be doing, or I am doing.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and we are losing some of the scientists, Bendernagel just passed away.
Yeah,
Some of the old guard.
Some of the old guard.
right. That's what we always say. We're kind of standing on his shoulders, and we want to help make the subject less taboo, like he used to say.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of funny. There's been a couple of times that we have pulled up, in our Bigfoot truck, and I'll have a guy come up to me and goes, back in the day, Grover Krantz was my anthropology
We
teacher.
just had that last
Yeah.
I
week.
know somebody, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Isn't that cool?
we're not worthy.
Right?
Oh, that was fun.
So Grover did pass along his knowledge to a lot of his students, and they're still talking about Bigfoot from his class.
Yep.
He had no problem being loud and proud about it. Yeah.
I work with inner city kids, and a lot of them have grown an interest in Bigfoot.
Well, that's cool.
They don't even like to go out in the woods. Some of my homeroom kids from this last year, but they're like, we want to go camping. And I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's awesome.
Wow.
Well, there's one thing I want to throw up before we go is I want to remind everybody, if you're watching this live or watching it later, where's the button? I am looking for.
I have no idea what he's blathering on about, folks. Sorry.
This right here. We're putting on a Bigfoot Science Fair, the Bigfoot Roundtable in
By
Squatch
the way,
America.
the Bigfoot Roundtable tonight will not be happening.
Right, because everybody's off squatching. Okay, so
Cool.
if you have a great idea to maybe some kind of evidence gathering thing, something that maybe hasn't been done before, go ahead and do a video of your concept and email it to squatchamerica@gmail.com. And like I said, on October 9th, the Bigfoot Roundtable will present the top 3 entries with prizes. So there we
do
go.
the Shark Tank judging
We're
process.
going to do the Shark Tank judging process on that. And like
Award some kind of awesome bauble.
yeah, there we go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll watch that.
Okay, cool.
Another thing I thought of that I could tell you about is when 2 of our primate zoologists flew out with me to the Olympic Project nest site.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, they were absolutely fascinated by it. Like you have to have a really heavy duty vehicle to get through the locked gates, like and down that road, just to get to the point where you can start hiking in and going up and down the ridges and valleys. And then you have to kind of belly crawl through some of those areas to get to the nest site. And I just will never, ever forget when they walked out of there after looking at those nests, the looks on their faces. And again, the Olympic Project doesn't say Bigfoot made that for sure, or made those nests for sure. They can't say that, but they were going on and on about how they looked so much like gorilla nests that they had seen out in Africa, the way that they had personalities to the different nests, like they worked at zoos now. So these were, their gorillas and chimps and everybody are now, inside and in captivity, but they have different ways they would make the nests. And they were talking about like this particular gorilla might have made that one, and that one might have made that one. And the way the sight lines were to each other, how a few of the nests were up in bushes, like a mama gorilla shows a baby or a young one how to make a practice nest. I'll never forget that moment about these people who dedicate their lives to large primates were so impressed and still continue to be, involved in this topic.
Awesome.
That's phenomenal. What was the film that we watched in Forks about the Olympic Project? Because Raptor says, make sure you have a video of what you're talking about. They exist.
Eli Watson did it. It's on YouTube, and it's called Return to the Nest Site.
On Small Town Monsters.
Small Town Monsters.
So
it's the one that was done like 5 months ago or so.
Return to the Nest Site.
And it's on the Small Town Monsters YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It has another part of the title, but I can't remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's plenty of stuff out there. You want to watch that. Raptor, it's really well done. And if you think that Raptor is our in-house, he's very critical of hoaxing, and just wants
Me
to make
too. I
sure
know
that
some
things are-
hoaxers.
Yep.
Yes. And our dog just spotted a beautiful German Shepherd running around outside our trailer, so
Uh-oh.
she's losing her ever loving mind at this point. But what are the odds of someone going into that nest site to hoax?
I asked the same thing. That was my first question when I heard about it. But when you go there and you realize these nests were different ages and the amount of effort it takes to get there, and how if a person was using it like a hermit or something, we're making all these nests, there's no overhead covering to protect them from the elements. I would say, the logging company surveyor that found the nests originally was there. So it's not that a person never goes there, but it's very infrequently, if ever. I would say they were the world's most stupid hoaxer ever. Like that, nobody was probably gonna ever find their hoax.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And that's what we run into quite often, and people don't realize that. I mean, I have found footprints
10,000 feet
10,000 feet up a mountain that would took us. We were off trail by about 3 miles, hiking straight up a mountain, and yeah, some guy thought we'd run into that.
and believe me, I know of hoaxing, and that's one reason I almost got out of Bigfooting and got involved in a lot of drama, because I know of some hoaxing. So I know it happens, but I don't think that this.
And
it does happen, but it's a lot rarer than people think.
And as a student of human behavior, I always fall back on the vast majority of human beings are far too lazy to pull off a decent hoax.
Yeah, I agree.
They just can't do it what it takes. And so just based on the numbers alone, the odds of hoaxing is way, way smaller than we think. So anyway, well, as always, thank you so much, Amy. We're so glad we got to have you back, and we cannot wait to join you guys tomorrow.
Yes.
I'm so excited. I am like full of questions, because if we get psychologists in the house, it's like we need to get some research questions going here. I'm starting to get thirsty.
And that's my favorite part about Zoo Book is people will hook up together and do little side projects and things, and that's like I'm over here like, yes, go.
That's awesome.
So but thank you. So we'll see you next time, Amy. And just as always, please remember that our job,
I hate having to scroll all this stuff. Okay.
Is to investigate the unexplained.
Not to explain the uninvestigated.
So please subscribe, share this channel with all your friends, and suspend your disbelief for just a little bit. Imagine what could be out there when you do. And until next week, y'all keep watching.
And we'll keep squatching and go out and find Bigfoot.
Bye.
That damn Sasquatch.